This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. This is a conversation about an entity, a bank, which is one respect in every way and every possible accolade. If you're looking at equity market performance, it's a bank that trades at the highest multiples. If you're looking at earnings, it's delivered consistent, steady, good growth in earnings. And if you're looking at awards, you just have to walk into the boardroom, every possible award. Now, yet another distinction, it's a bank which has a book about it and the founder and the people who lead it. The book, of course, has been written by India's best-known financial journalist, Tamal Bandyopadhyay, writing about perhaps what is a lot of people have called India's best bank. Joining me on this conversation, the author, Tamal Bandyopadhyay, and of course, the chief protagonist, Mr. Aditya Puri. Before I get into the conversation, just want to mention that the book is being released over the weekend by the finance minister. It's a book whose foreword has been written by former RBI Governor, Dr. Y.B. Reddy. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Puri. Just to say that you've got every possible award, but that wasn't enough. Now you have a book dedicated to you.
Let me correct you. The book is not dedicated to me.
Written about you and your
It's not even written about me. The book is dedicated to the 60,000 people, and I'll have Tamal corroborate that. I think when he first muted the idea about a book, the first thing I told him, I hope you're not wanting to write about me because I have a long innings left, so it's too early for a biography. So he says, no, I want to write a factual story on the bank. So I'm very thrilled that, because we are bad, and probably Tamal will endorse that, we are very bad at chronicling. So at least someone will write about something that all 60,000 of us have enjoyed.
That's true. Tamal, why did you pick HDFC Bank? I mean, you could have written about anything from the central bank to the economy to, finance ministry, central bank relations, but you picked HDFC Bank.
To be honest, the idea was not mine. The idea came from the publisher. Apparently, they do some survey at various B schools to pick up a subject for business books. And one of the subjects they thought about HDFC Group. They approached me, and I was not very sure how Aditya will look at it or how Mr. Puri will look at it, and I was sure I was not very wrong. Aditya had his reservations because HDFC Bank is a US listed company. How do I handle it? Mr. Parekh says, look, it has not crossed any milestone, 25 years or 50 years. Why do you want to? But I was persistent, and I was talking to many people, and then the treatment is mine. So what I found is this very interesting. I think the bank is only a vehicle. I wanted to do a story on modern India, the spirit of entrepreneurship, the spirit of professionalism, the spirit of corporate governance.
That's an important point, Mr. Puri. I mean, it's the story also about timing, right? I mean, we're at a juncture where we could perhaps be looking at new banks, and I don't want to bring that discussion in just yet. But the success of one of India's, initial private sector banks is a story worth telling. I mean, I know you would tend to be modest, and you're saying it's not about you, but it's about how the bank has succeeded.
I think I would agree with Tamal. What is worth telling is that there are a lot of misconceptions about India. When we started, they said you can't have an online real-time bank. We had some difficulty, but we started as an online real-time bank. Centralized processing, distributed servicing. They said you won't get the right telecommunication quality, etc., etc. And we said, no, we'll get it. They said, how can you have corporate governance in India? And I beg to differ very substantially. There may be lots of stories about corruption, but there's corruption all over the world. We don't have any damn monopoly on it. And I'm proud to say that, at least in HDFC Bank, we've never given anybody any money. We don't intend to. We have got business on professional, clear-cut value that we bring to the customers. And that applies even to the government. So I do believe that, yes, there are issues on corruption. Yes, we need to change a lot of things, but it's not so all-pervading, and I'm proud of my country.
No, and there's a nice anecdote in here where, even those commissions on large bulk deposits, I think HDFC Bank refused to pay those. That's a nice anecdote, Tamal.
Yeah, but if you ask me what distinguishes the HDFC Bank and why it is different from others, I found two strands. And overall, I find the bank very boring. Aditya would not agree. He always...
I think he takes that almost as a compliment, right?
Yeah, somebody, one of the board members said we used to call Puri Mr. 31%. Because Mr. 31%. Because quarter after quarter, with monotony, he will perform 31% growth, so on and so forth. But I find two strands which differentiate the bank from others. A, here is a bank which has actually distinguished between the real risk and perceived risk. That's very important. A lot of things which apparently risky but actually not, like broker financing and so many other things which the bank has gone in. So that's the distinction they do. And second thing I found is this: here is a bank which never had the passion to be a pioneer of many things. It's not the first mover. Many cases is the second or third getting into it. And it does very ordinary things, but in an extraordinary way, the extraordinary execution. For instance, say post-Lehman crisis 2008 end, when everybody was vacating the place in credit card business, this bank, it was there in credit card, but suddenly it started growing. Everybody was leaving retail. This bank was suddenly growing retail business. So, I find this very, very ordinary things they have done over a period of last 18 years. It's a little boring bank, monotonously boring bank, but the extraordinary execution, that's what it makes us different.
Mr. Puri,
that's the story I wanted to say.
You could turn that argument around. People could argue that at that time there was a wide open field. I mean, in the book also talks about it, there was that gap which public sector banks and foreign banks were not, sort of giving the customers. So you had that gap to fill. Today, isn't the market very different? So this entire story about you don't need to be a first mover, you just need to be the best mover. Well, does that still work? Is that still the theory you work with?
Let me backtrack a bit and disagree a bit with Tamal and the press, which is always called us boring.
I knew you'd react.
Yeah, no, but the fact of the matter is, if you say boring in that we are not taking risks that we don't understand, we are very boring.
I never said that. I said you redefined risk.
No, I agree, but I'm not. I'm not saying you said it.
Okay.
I'm discussing with her here.
Okay.
So if you define that we wouldn't take risks that we don't understand, you can call us boring. He has put it as redefining risk. But let me say, who introduced, and he puts it in the book, the little that I've read of it, centralized processing, distributed servicing, anywhere, anytime banking. We are the people who took the risk. Who are the people when everybody was running away from consumer banking, stuck on with consumer banking? We. Now, you may not call it pioneering. I think it's pioneering. I don't think we go, so we do our homework a lot better. Who introduced mobile banking? Who introduced anywhere, anytime? Who went into the brokers? Who went into microfinance as a way and said, we think, so let's convert microfinance into sustainable livelihood and we can change the lives of 10 million families. We did, nobody else. Who went into the interiors? Why do you not find enough banks doing two-wheeler financing, gold, light commercial vehicle, lending against small shops? He's covered that. You can say this is not exciting. There I agree. But the fact, it takes a hell of a lot of work, it takes a hell of a lot of vision to understand that 70% of India resides in semi-urban and rural India. You've got to get the right business model. You've got to get the right credit aspects. You've got to have a clear strategy. So even the nationalized banks today, if you just drive into the interior of the country, what do you see in a house? He'll have a TV, he'll have a motorcycle, he will have a light commercial vehicle or a tractor, he will have a small car, and there'll be a shop. And his wife will be wearing gold jewelry, and he probably wants a credit card because he doesn't. Which is the bank that you know of that does all of this? And you don't call that pioneering. I don't call it adventurist.
Okay.
But I call it pioneering.
Tamal, I mean, just the aspect of the way they moved into, say, retail banking. I mean, there were other banks that were present as well. I mean, in your research, what did they do right that the others did not? And my direct comparison between ICICI and HDFC, which you bring out very nicely in the book. Mr. Kamath also commenting on HDFC Bank strategy. What was the difference?
Yeah, in fact, Mr. Kamath said that it could be a good tutorial for all aspiring banks.
Although he said that ICICI was more entrepreneurial than HDFC.
Yeah, but at the same time, he said they had the same gene of HD Parekh.
Yeah.
Because HD Parekh was with ICICI, and HD Parekh, Deepak Parekh, and the same gene, the same tradition. No, what I found is about this bank is, apart from the products and all, also the housekeeping is very different. Housekeeping is very different. You can call them conjuice, you would not like it. But, they're saying...
No biscuits,
I
no
was
paper
told
cups.
That, no. Even every liquor bill has to be sanctioned by this gentleman. You have to carry your own cups to have your coffee. Coffee can be free served, but you carry your own cup, because they apparently discovered that if 60,000 guys have 3 cups of coffee, then 60 into 3, every day 1,80,000, and then multiplied by 365, how much money you save by asking them to bring their coffee. I was told that except for the board meeting, even biscuit is not served. So this bank, it's quite amazes me that on the one side you have the sophistication, the technology, the product, the reach, so on and so forth, the very fast response, and also finding the new areas of business like broker financing. But the other part is the housekeeping. It's a very tight housekeeping.
The book has very nicely talked about where HDFC Bank has reached, but the environment is going to change. It's already started changing. If you look at, say, the savings account, being deregulated. Now there's potentially new banks. When, we don't know, but some point they'll come in. Isn't the environment going to be very different from here on for you? I mean, have you built a leadership position which you can sit comfortably on? Do you need to reinvent now?
The environment for us going forward is going to be the best in the history of HDFC Bank.
Why?
And we have planned for the next 5 years, and we've been executing it for the last 3 years.
What is the direction in which you're
Let me tell you now. If 70% India resides in semi-urban and rural India, you have to be major players in that portion. Yes or no?
Yes.
Who is the major player today? Or in fact, the only player?
You're growing as a player, but I mean, have you gotten to the point, sir, where you'd like to? Because you've talked about Bharat a lot, but I'm just wondering if you've got that access to Bharat.
Look at it, 60% of our branches. Look at the business. Look at the product offering that we have. If you see now, for instance, if we're going to do 10 million in sustainable livelihood, that's profitable business for me. I've lent to the small businesses. I'm a major player in gold. I'm the leader in two-wheelers. I'm the leader in tractors. I'm the leader in light commercial vehicles, and I'm only expanding my distribution.
NDTV Profit.
Well, I know you haven't written about this extensively, but you have a good sense of this. All of what Mr. Puri is saying, I mean, do you think that these are enough to sort of build the next leg of success for HDFC Bank? Do you think that competition is going to change the landscape for the banking sector?
So this bank, I think
that may be your next book, but no,
I think they have the building blocks in place, and as I said, this bank, when it comes to execution, I think it's an excellent execution. Nobody can match HDFC Bank. So I would imagine he's ready.